Hey guys, it's Ron Wilkerson. Today we're going to take a look at some photos that I shot a long time ago. And I wanted to see if I could possibly go in and look at some of these images and maybe approach them with fresh eyes. These photos I did take quite a few years ago. And the model made her selections and I edited those photos. And I still have these on an old drive. And I was thinking to myself, you know, I could go through and see with the new skills that I've acquired over the years, what could I do with these photos? So the one I chose was this one. And I wanted to show you guys first of all, how I set up the lighting for this. So I did set up a lighting diagram to give you guys kind of an overview. So let's jump here into satellite. So as you can see here, I was using a 24-70. I was at 1/250th of a second, f8 at ISO 200. So I'm going to spin this around a little bit. I was using two lights. One was obviously the main light. The second light was more my fill light. So I had a little bit of light that was falling on the side of the model here and more toward the background, just so I could illuminate the background a little bit better. Now I did have two lights back there, but I had them at very low power because I didn't want them to overlight the scene, because I was using, you know, as you see here, there was a white background. But if we go into capture one, you can kind of barely see the chase lounge that was behind her in these images. There's maybe one where she's laying on it and I have it completely flat, because this one you can kind of flip up the side of it. So I was using it kind of like a little platform or something like that in this image. But for the one that I chose, she was just basically standing in front of it. So the lighting for that, again, let's jump back over here. I had my main light, fill light, and then two background lights behind her. And I was zoomed in pretty tight. So I was somewhere, if you were looking at it from my perspective, you would have seen something that kind of looks like that. But as I zoomed in to kind of frame her more from the waist up, this is kind of what I came up with. So I already edited the image, and here it is in Photoshop. But I'm going to show you exactly what I did to get to this point. Now, some of the things that, you know, like I said, I've said this in many videos before, some things you can do, it does not mean you should do them, but, you know, they're available to you. So I'm just going to crop this in a little bit. And then I'm going to open, actually, let me save this one. Let's go ahead and save that out. And okay, so we'll save that and close it. And I kind of walk you through what I ended up doing to get to that point. Now, some of the things that I'm going to do here, you know, like I said, you don't have to do these things. And if you don't feel comfortable in Photoshop, you know, some of them you can just do just the minimum. And most of the time your client will be happy. The problem that you're going to run into sometimes is that many cases, people, you know, they really don't understand what you need as a photographer as far as makeup goes. So whenever you are working with your client and, you know, consulting with your client, make sure to emphasize to them that you want them not to have dewy makeup on, because that can be a huge problem. Okay, why did that crop out like that? Oh, okay, I see what it is. That's my bad. Must have been something I had already preset. Not a problem. So we'll go in here and do our white balance. Let's look at our exposure. Come down to our optics. This should be good as a good starting point. Let's zoom in here. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. Let's just open it. So I don't need to crop it any further, but I'll show you basically what I did. So usually what I do is I go in and look for the things that I know that, a client's going to want to have removed. So I do that as, tastefully as possible. So if there's any imperfections in the skin, like under the arms, I'll go ahead and remove that. And I'll, you can take a couple of swipes through it just to get it, kind of level, to get rid of, like maybe it's deodorant. It could be, from shaving or something like that. We all shave to some degree. I mean, most guys don't shave under their arms unless they're bodybuilders, but or swimmers, but you kind of get my point, right? So I just go in and just, clean that up a little bit, because most of this I'm going to take care of when I get to the airbrushing stage. And I know that a lot of guys who edit these type of photos, they go way overboard and they spend a lot of time dodging and burning and everything like that. And that looks great. You have that kind of time that you want to dedicate to the project. But most of the time, people are not paying for you to spend, 4 hours editing one photo. They want all, 50 of their photos or 5 of their photos or whatever your package includes, to be delivered to them as soon as possible. So if you're going to be spending, a ton of time, working with dodging and burning and all these other different things, that's just going to slow down your workflow. And if that's the case, you're going to have some very disappointed clients, because most people honestly will not see the difference in something that you could do relatively quickly versus something that you spent tons of hours, working on. Now, with that said, if this is a client like, you're working on a fashion campaign or something like that where they want the best of the best, then I say put in as much time as you need to get the project done, and, just get it done the best of, your ability. But for most clients, like whether it's boudoir, whether it's going to be headshots or something like that, they just want to look, their best that they can possibly look. And they're not expecting, some ridiculous amount of editing to go into, getting the images set up. So I would say don't spend any more time on these images than you actually have to. Let's take a look at that really quick. So let's zoom out. So you see that cleaned that up really nicely. I can go in obviously and adjust that. Okay. So we got a few little flyaway hairs, and yes, you can easily go in here and you can just, kind of mask them out. You can use your spot healing, but a lot of this will be blurred out in your whatever airbrushing you're going to be doing over the skin, because they just want to look good, guys. That's really the key. And I mean, like I said, I could spend, tons of time working on these images and making them look just amazing. But at the end of the day, people just want to look good. Now, one of the things that I will do, because again, most of these are not models. So these are just average everyday women, and they don't understand, modeling in relation to, the camera or the lens, where you are as the photographer. So if you see things like what I'm looking at right here that you can go in and fix, as long as they are comfortable with it, it's not going to be a problem. So you can bring that into Liquify and just kind of push that in just a little bit, just round it out, flatten it down. Like right here where arm is kind of, it looks a little large, and that's just from the pose. You can go in and slim that down just a touch. You don't have to go overboard, just do just enough to make everything look proportional. So I can just, even out the stomach here. I may round off the butt just a touch. And always take into consideration when you're doing shots like this, proportions of the body, right? So right here, her arm looks large because of the fact that it's the nearest thing to the lens. So what I would usually do here is I would go in and I would freeze her face just so I don't alter her face when I adjust her arm. And then I would go in and just push the arm in just a little bit, just so it won't look so large. And let me get that's too small. Maybe about there. I'm just going to bring that in just a little bit. Same as here. Like I said, we don't want to overdo it. and just adjust, wherever you see fit that looks proportional, like I said, without distorting anything, right? Now, little things like this, like I'm looking at the line of the lingerie, that's usually something that I would try to correct just because that's something that's kind of out of their control. Lingerie, has a mind of its own, so it's going to kind of go where it wants to go. And, depending on the contour of the body and that kind of thing. So if you can fix that up a little bit, I'm sure nobody will complain about it. So I think we look pretty good so far. Arms proportional. Let's just push this in just a little bit more and then say, okay, we're done with that. So if we go back and we look at before, after, it's not that much of a difference, right? It's a difference, but it's not, huge. Now, one of the things that would drive me insane is the fact that there is this, uneven line here. So usually, like before, I would just go in, I would straighten that. Now you have to wait and see what it's going to give you. And see, that cropped out our arm just a little bit, but that's okay. I can adjust that. And then the rest I can fix. So now what I would do is I would go in here and make a selection. Maybe about there. And then you want to hit Command T. And then just drag that over. Hit Enter. Command D. Deselect. Now you see it left a little line right here. Well, we can go in and fix that relatively quick. I'm just going to use spot healing, see if I can get it with that. If not, then I'll have to clone it out. Let's see. That's a stubborn one. You have so many different tools that you can work with. You just got to kind of play with these and figure out which one works better. That's going to be faster. See, that kind of got it. I see a little bit more, but again, my eye draws to it, but most people wouldn't notice that. So, you can be done pretty much at that point. Okay, so now to the airbrushing, you have a number of options depending on how your system is set up. I do have portraiture. So we're going to run portraiture over this one because, like, again, I was saying we're going to work on speed. So I just want to knock this out as quickly as possible. So you can kind of see here the before and the after. It just softens the skin. It kind of gives it that frequency separation type of look that, most people look for. And we can just go ahead and hit that. And I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to flatten this image. Then I'm going to go and look at, again, a second time, check my levels, and see what I get. Okay, that's not bad. Now, of course, there's always a ton of other things that you can do with these images, to jazz them up if that's your goal. But the end result is going to be the most important thing that you can do and think about as a photographer or content creator, whatever it is that your clients are happy. As long as the client is happy, that's all you need to really be concerned about, because that's the person that's paying for your services. So that's usually, how my mind works. So yeah, I can go in here and I could, adjust her body more, but that's not realistic to the way she's shaped. And she's a beautiful woman, so she just wants to show off her curves. She's trying to put these images together for, a significant other, or for, if it's, empowering for herself. Hey, no problem, go for it. Now, I'll show you something really quick that I am noticing, and this is because of the angle of the pose. So if you look at her jawline here, it looks a little squared off, right? So you could go in to Liquify and correct that, because that's something that's probably out of her control. That's just due to the fact that, the angle that everything was shot at and her pose. So you could just go in here and just adjust that just a touch to round that off so it won't look so square. And you say, okay, that looks good, proportional. Boom, we're done. All right. So hopefully these tips are helping you guys out, and you're learning something from it. And if it's going to help you increase the speed in your workflow, it's a win-win, you know, from my perspective as for yours. So, you know, keep watching the videos, guys. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel so that I can, you know, obviously keep being encouraged to put these videos out. If you have any ideas for videos that you may want to see me do based on things you've already seen me post, or, you know, even a suggestion of an idea, if it's something that I feel comfortable doing, I'd be more than happy to, you know, do a video from my perspective on it. All right, guys, so until the next video, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share this content so more people can see it. Until next time, it's your boy Rome. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace. I'm out.